Hey folks, welcome to Module 2. In this module, our expert will cover on-site and off-site optimization. So let's get ready to take some notes and let's jump right in.
All right, so the most important thing when you're doing SEO on-site or on-page is going to be content. Content is everything. You want to make sure it's keyword rich, and you want to make sure that it's natural, real, natural content, because Google's algorithms, believe it or not, can tell the difference between something that was sort of forced and faked and put together purely for the purpose of keyword stuffing versus something that's actually naturally written by a human. Now, this is a very long keyword-rich article right here. This is a great blog post. And there's a few things you can do throughout your content, whether it be a page or a blog post like this, that ensures that you maximize the potential points, if you will, that Google's algorithms will give you. Step one, you want to make sure that your keyword that you're trying to rank for, your key phrase, is in the title itself. And if it's verbatim in there, that's even better. The next thing you can do is make sure that your subheadings also have that. Because the way that your page is laid out, if you actually dig into the HTML, is different chunks of text are broken up into things that have tags, okay? So the title of your page, that's basically your H1, meaning your primary headline, your H1 tag. And that, from the perspective of Google's algorithms, has a certain amount of points or a certain amount of value, right? Well, your subheadings do as well. You want to make sure and do is put your keywords or key phrases into subheadings like this and make sure that they are appropriately labeled. So right here, you can click inside of the newer WordPress editor and make sure that it's assigned an H2 tag so that Google knows that this is a subheading, okay, or a subheadline. And the same thing exists over here in the settings. You can adjust that there as well. So it's important to understand that simply going into textual content and making one line of it, tall and bold does not necessarily make it a subheadline in Google's eyes. So this is actually very important to go through here, and with WordPress it's easier than ever. All right, so make sure that your subheadlines, those text boxes, are assigned H2 tags. And if you have subheadlines, hey, feel free to use H3, H4, and so on. But make sure that those are appropriately labeled. The next thing is to make sure that your keywords are simply used organically throughout the content, okay, in an equitable and thorough fashion. All right, you're not keyword stuffing here. You're not overdoing it, because Google will notice that as well. And you're also not acting like a robot and just putting the exact 100% same key phrase over and over and over again either, okay? You want to, mix and match. I mean, you definitely want to have a handful of the exact key phrase in here. However, you also want to mix and match with different, variations. So plural here, right? A different definite article over there. Apostrophe here, possessive there, maybe even some synonyms from time to time. So you want to make sure it's very organic as well. The next thing you can do is everybody, first off, should be using some type of an SEO tool or plugin like Yoast. Yoast is probably the best one out there. And what you can do is actually manipulate the meta tags for your website. So with Yoast SEO, you can come right in here and you can add a little meta description. Now, this is a pretty short meta description here. All right, yours should be a little bit longer. You want to shoot for around, 100, 120 characters. And this is what people see when they see your website or web page in the search results. They see that little snippet there as sort of a preview underneath the main heading of the search result. Next, there's a slug, okay, which is the actual sort of URL after the main domain of your website, and that should be keyword rich as well. You can check the analytics for your focus key phrase. So in our case, our focus key phrase right now is robot vacuums for pet hair, and you'll see all sorts of things in a to-do list here, okay? You'll notice there's no internal links on this page. There should be. Internal linking is very important to Google. Key phrase in the introduction, your key phrase or its synonyms do not appear in the first paragraph. So we would want to go back up there to that first paragraph and make sure that the first paragraph uses our key phrase, if that's one of the main things that we want to rank for. Key phrase density. It's only found one time, at least verbatim, in the article. It recommends 7 times for this length of text. Key phrase and subheadings. Use more key phrases or synonyms in your higher level subheadings. That's referring to those H2 and H3 tags that we talked about. It'll also tell you what you're doing good. You've got lots of outbound links in this article. That's good. A lot of people think you don't want outbound links because you want people to stay on your site. People will leave your site no matter what. You want to do it on your terms, and fact is, Google loves outbound links because that tells them that you're a useful and helpful site, so you'll rank higher. Key phrase length, that's good for the one that we're targeting here. Text length is pretty good. That's a long article. Google's going to like that because they love content, right? And some of the more important ones here, key phrase, the exact match appears in the title at the beginning of our article. Okay, so that's good. Google's going to love that. SEO title width, good job. And key phrase in slug, like we said, the slug itself right here contains our key phrase. So you can see all that point value stuff, and there's plenty of other stuff that you can do as well to increase your on-site or on-page SEO. Number one, you want to make sure it's mobile optimized. Mobile optimize your entire website because Google cares about that. And you're going to lose points if it's not mobile optimized. And the next thing you want to do is find ways to increase your stick duration, your stick rate on your site. Google knows if people show up on your site and then immediately leave. Okay, they have that data. They know what's going on. And if people show up on your site and then they leave within the first 10 seconds, that tells them that your site is not what people want. And that's what Google cares about. What do people want? So here's some things you can do to increase your stick rate. Number one, you can add a video. Okay, videos are fantastic because people click and they watch them. And that increases the amount of time that they stay on your page if they want to keep watching the video. So if you can have a compelling video that people are going to click and watch and stay on your site for a little while, that's going to increase your stick rate and Google's going to like you more. You can also just make sure that your content is actually relevant to the targeted keywords. If people actually find on your page the things that they are looking for, they're not going to leave. So make sure your stuff reads well, and that's where the readability analysis comes in handy with Yoast here. All right, people would say that this, in a technical sense, doesn't have anything to do with SEO. Indirectly, it does. Okay, the easier it is and more enjoyable it is to read your content, the more likely people are going to stay on your page longer. Okay, so the longer people stick around, the better. So there's a couple of things that you can do like that to increase the amount of time people spend on your page. Now, Google also loves multimedia. So in addition to videos being good because they increase your stick rate, the fact that you have videos, especially if they're embeds of YouTube videos, by the way, because Google likes YouTube because they own YouTube, that can be useful simply because it's a type of content that Google knows people like. However, you can also add more images. All right, this here is a very image-rich post, and Google notices those images, and you get cool points for that. Okay, your ranking is going to be better if you have more images, more rich media. Other thing you can do is ensure that those images have actual file names that match your keywords. Okay, so if your image file names are keyword rich, and then also if someone comes over to your website and they hover over an image or they hold down the Alt button, it's not happening here, but it would happen on the actual published version of the page, they can see a name. It's called the Alt title. You want to make sure your alt title is keyword specific as well. You want to make sure that all these different things on your page are keyword rich. And finally, the other thing that we already mentioned a little bit earlier, internal linking and external linking. Okay? Google loves when you make it easy for people to find things both on your site and other people's sites. Okay, so if you have internal linking, linking to other blog posts, other articles on your website, that's great. And if you have external linking and you're opening yourself up to the outside world and recommending good stuff and sending people in other directions, all this stuff tells Google that you are a real site, a real human site that's actually trying to be helpful, and you're going to increase in your rankings. So that's on-site or on-page SEO. And that's about all you can do, is make sure your content is great and all those other things that we talked about. Beyond that, if you want to rise up in the search rankings, it's going to come down to off-site SEO. And what's off-site SEO? Basically, it's backlinks. Backlinks form the core of off-site SEO. In fact, Google has publicly revealed that the two most important things to them, the things that give you the most points inside of their Google algorithm, are content, which is on-site, and backlinks. Nothing else matters as much. Being mobile responsive doesn't matter as much. The stick rate doesn't matter as much. Rich media doesn't necessarily matter as much. At the end of the day, the two things that are the most important are content and links. So, here's what you do. You come over here to Google. Once again, we're utilizing Google. And we're going to look for robot vacuum blog. And what you're looking for here are different sites that create content, articles, blog posts, and so on about robot vacuums or whatever it is that you specialize in. And you want to reach out to these different top-ranking sites because they're at the top of Google. So you know they have high link authority. You know that they have a lot of link juice, a lot of value. You want to take these and see if you can somehow get one of your links on them. Now, the old school way of doing it used to be just to go to their blogs and go to the comment section. So let's go to this one here. Scroll all the way down to the bottom of the blog post and make a comment with your link in the comment. Now that today, it's not technically spam per se, but today it's pretty much universally considered spam, and Google does not reward that nearly as much as they used to. In fact, if you do too much of it, you can actually get slapped. Okay, so you don't want to do that anymore. What you want to do is form actual strategic partnerships with these sites, like this one, the Robot Cleaner Store. And you have other sites out there that you can find that also rank high in and produce content for your niche. Like right here, scarymommy.com. Looks like she's got a somewhat humorous blog post about robot vacuums. Here we've got Treatle, automatic robot vacuum, how I made my choice. Lots of review type stuff, right? Talking about whether you should get a robot vacuum cleaner. These are all blogs and websites that you could reach out to and make a guest post. Okay? It's basically reach out to them, send them an email, and say, hey, I've got some impressive content or important content that could be useful to your audience. Can I make a guest post and link back to my site? And they might want something in return. Maybe they want a residual guest post from your site to theirs. You know? So you've got to sort of get in there and engage in some business dealing with these other sites in order to get these high authority backlinks. Now that's one way to do it, but one of the quickest ways to do it is literally just to find the highest ranking sites for your specific keyword and spy on them. Figure out where they're getting their backlinks. Because if you can emulate, if you can mimic their backlink profile considerably, that'll be particularly beneficial because you know that their backlink strategy is working. They're right here at the top of Google. So you could grab this one here, grab this URL right there. It doesn't really matter too much what's in this article. We're interested in what's linking to this article. So let's come over here to Moz and Link Explorer, which is a free resource. We'll go ahead and paste that URL here. Exact page, so we want the links that are coming to that specific page, because a lot of these sites aren't necessarily going to be only specific to your niche and your topic. So for example, Tom's is known for all sorts of hardware and software related stuff, right? We only care about this particular page of theirs where they're ranking for robots, robot vacuums. So this is the exact page here. That's the URL. We're going to hit search. And once that's loaded, we're going to come over here to inbound links. And this is it. This is their backlinks. Do you understand how valuable this is? To see where they are backlinking from, where their site is getting linked. Now that is pretty darn neat. And what you can then do is follow up with these specific sites and try to get your site linked from these sites as well. And it looks like it's mostly blog and content sites that they've got these links coming from. So you could click on one of these, follow through to the site, and ask them, hey, what do I need to do to get a backlink? Or you could do a favor for them. One very common thing is to find broken links or old, outdated, expired links on someone else's blog and you're the one who pointed those out to them, so that's sort of a favor, and in return you're saying, hey, by the way, you could also link to my site. You could replace that old broken link with one to my site, which deals with the same kind of issue. So that's a very common form of doing it. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to outreach. Manual, organic, real human-to-human outreach. You do not, I say again, you do not want to rely on databases or having some freelancer go out there and create a bunch of fake, totally generic, non-organic backlinks for you. A lot of people do that. Google is not stupid. They've been doing this for over a decade now, for 2 decades now or more, and their algorithm knows everything. So you want to make sure that you have super high-quality, organic, human-made backlinks from high-ranking sites or high domain authority sites. In fact, let me give you an example of what not ever to do. Never come here to Fiverr and pay for a gig where they promise to give you thousands of social bookmarks or profile backlinks for your site. Never do this. Please never ever do this. Here's another one. 1 million backlinks. Do you know what's going to happen to your site if you use something like this? Google's going to slap the heck out of you. You're going to be shooting yourself in the foot. Your SEO is going to be completely destroyed. So please don't do this. Backlinks should be human to human. The only exception to that would be your own content outside of your site. So your social profiles or other people's social profiles that as long as it stays organic, you can do some of that kind of stuff. If you're active on social media and you're linking back to your site, I'm not saying that social links hurt you, but that's organic and that's real. These people, how do you think they deliver 1 million backlinks? How do you think they deliver 600 social profile backlinks? Because they do it for hundreds of other people too. And Google's algorithm identifies those social profiles and those sources of links as places that are basically, spammy links. Links created purely to artificially get people higher up in the search rankings. And it might work for a week or two. It might work at first, but it'll always come back to bite you. So don't do this. One exception would be press releases. Okay, if you go to PR Web or PR Newswire and you pay money to have someone write up and submit press releases about your business or about your campaign or whatever the item in question is, and they send it out to a whole bunch of different news networks and news websites, that can actually have a positive effect because those different sites do in fact have high authority and credibility in the eyes of Google, and investing in press releases is something that a lot of legitimate businesses do. So that would be one method of actually getting yourself out there. However, make sure you're not going this route. Don't go and find a micro job or gig website and have someone mass produce a whole bunch of spammy links. It's going to hurt you quite a bit. So that's it for on and off site SEO in this lesson. As you can tell, there's a lot of work that goes into this. A lot of time, a lot of communication, a lot of manual, hands-on tasks. However, there is a way to save on some of the time, outsource it a little bit, and make the process a whole lot easier and faster. We're going to discuss all of those ways in the next module.